All right, I want to go back to CPAC. It is the Conservative Political Action Conference. It's kicking off today in D.C. And with us, we have Ralph Reed, the former leader of the Christian Coalition. Thanks for joining us. I know that you are going to be speaking before this group. It is the largest CPAC ever. And we've heard a lot about this idea of a culture war in our country, despite the fact that many people say the economic situation in their life is the most pressing. I want you to hear, first of all, what some of the candidates have been saying lately.
Remarkably, under this president's administration, there is an assault on religion.
All this is accentuated by the Obama administration's decision 2 weeks ago to basically declare a war on the Catholic Church.
This administration, as you can tell from my reaction, has been hostile to people of faith, particularly Christians and specifically Catholics.
So, Ralph, do you agree? Is there a resurgence of this culture war that is happening in our country today?
Well, I don't know that I would use the term culture war. I think a military metaphor is probably less apt than a strong disagreement in a free society about whether or not government dictates, government edicts, government decisions by either judicial fiat or executive fiat should be allowed to force people of faith, of any faith, to violate their conscience. And most of the clips, Suzanne, that you played leading up to this were specifically about the Department of Health and Human Services directive that Catholic hospitals, schools, universities, charities, and those of other religions be forced to provide health insurance that provided both contraception and abortifacients that violated the conscience of those organizations. So I think that what it showed was, at a minimum, political tone deafness, and at a maximum, either insensitivity or outright hostility to the deeply held religious values of millions of Americans.
Let's talk a little bit about the ideology. A lot of the people that are going to be before CPAC there. You know, the idea of a culture war, it's a theme that's very familiar to me when I covered the Bush-Cheney re-election campaign in 2004. We traveled across the country, and they were pushing the controversy over same-sex marriage to get voters riled up and turning out to the polls, and it worked. But privately, the Bush White House was much more gay-friendly. Which candidates do you think are the real deal when it comes to their conservative beliefs, and who do you think is playing politics?
Well, I think I don't want to relitigate the 2004 campaign, but I worked on that campaign, and in fact what happened was the Massachusetts Supreme Court redefined marriage, and that's what caused it to become an issue. We didn't push the issue.
Well, they certainly used it to their political advantage. I mean, everywhere where we went, that was the dominant theme.
No, look, Suzanne, again, I campaigned in 33 states for the president, okay? I was there, all right? And we were running on the issue of growing the economy, creating jobs, cutting taxes, and winning the war on terrorism. What happened was,
with all due respect, I was there as well. I was covering the president during that campaign, but I don't want to relitigate that.
I worked on the campaign. But let's fast forward to 2012. The California Ninth Circuit Federal Appeals Court ruled just this past week that California had to accept same-sex marriage in spite of a vote by the people to the contrary. I think it would be naive to assume that that's not going to be an issue in the campaign, as is the issue that you and I just talked about. So I think in terms of who has the most bona fides with this crowd,
yes,
I certainly think Rick Santorum has been one of the biggest pro-family champions in his service in the House and the Senate. I think Newt Gingrich has a lot of street cred with social conservatives because of the way he has made the importance of faith and Judeo-Christian values such a big part of his message. And I think Mitt Romney has demonstrated, especially in Iowa and Florida, that he can get his fair share of those voters. So it's very wide open, it's very fluid, and I think everybody's going to be able to make their case.
All right, I know you're going to be addressing the crowd there momentarily. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.